and welcome to Conversations. I'm Judith Leblein. Today's conversation is about breast cancer, and we're going to hear a little bit about the successes today in the battle against breast cancer, and a little bit about the 2001 Komen Race for the Cure. Joining us is Jane Rodney. Jane, welcome to Conversations.
Thank you.
Now, the Komen Race for the Cure, tell us all about the event.
Well, the event is run across America all throughout the year. There's over 110 of these events. We're the only race for the cure in the state of New Jersey, and that's why it's called Komen, New Jersey Race for the Cure. It will be held on October 28th of this year at Bristol-Myers Squibb at their Lawrenceville facility on Route 206. We expect 30,000 people.
This is an amazing event, just the story of the evolution of the event in itself. And what I find so fascinating is a race of this magnitude, now nationally known, run in major cities throughout this country, started from a sister's love for a sister she lost to breast cancer. Tell us about it.
It was in 1982. She lost her 36-year-old sister. This is Nancy Brinker, who in the past was the president and the CEO of the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. She's now an ambassador. She loved her sister. Her sister dies in Peoria, Illinois. She had gone to the doctors when she was 34, had said that she had some problems with her breast. They said she was too young, it wasn't breast cancer. She came back in 36 to find it had spread. She dies from the disease, and her sister promised her on her deathbed, she said, I'm going to educate physicians. I'm going to reach out to every community. I'm going to teach women how early detection can save your life. I'm going to devote the rest of my life so this won't happen again. And she did, and she has.
And such an amazing story, because this whole genre of running national size events was not anything in her lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And to be able to bring it today, thousands and thousands of volunteers throughout the country.
Right.
How did you get involved, Jane?
Well, I'm the director, I had been for a very long time, of the Breast Cancer Resource Center, which is a program of the YWCA Princeton, and became a national breast cancer program in about 1975. But it started in the early 70s at the Princeton YWCA. I became involved after I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was diagnosed in 1988 with a later stage breast cancer, and I went to the YW for help, for support, for education. And when I went through that, I loved what I saw, but I never, ever thought I would end up as its director. But the person who was running it was terrific and very inspirational. And when the person who was running it left, she asked me if I would consider taking it. It was an enormous decision for me, and it took a while for me to decide, and it was the best decision of my life. It truly was. We took a program that at that time was reaching about 600 to 800 women a year. The Breast Cancer Resource Center today reaches 25,000 women a year. Amazing. That does not count the race. And we host the Race for the Cure. But we decided in 1993 that we were reaching a lot of middle-class women, but very difficult to reach populations. We weren't. And we wanted to figure out, how could we reach these women? And we looked all over America for good breast cancer programs. And we went to Dallas and the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation down in Dallas for their headquarters. And we saw at that time it was quite small. They had about 40 some odd races. Now they have 115.
It's amazing.
They have over 1 million runners. Then they had like 35,000. I mean, everything has just exploded and continues to explode like that. And we decided this is what we're going to do, because the Breast Cancer Resource Center had hundreds of volunteers to help run the race. But I tell you something, I didn't know anything about a race. I hadn't even been to one.
Now, the race raises so much money. How are the decisions made within the organization on distribution of those funds? And what is, like, you decide on a target for this year? Is that the
No,
idea?
what happens is the Komen Foundation has parameters for donating dollars from your races, and we follow those very carefully. But what happens is all across America, wherever this race is run, you take whatever your net is, and 25% of it goes back to the foundation in Dallas for research dollars, so we can find a cure for breast cancer. And 75% stays in your community. Now, our community is primarily Central Jersey all the way down to the south. Not to say that we won't help those in the north, but there's a northern affiliate. Doesn't run a race, but there's a northern affiliate. So they try to help the people in the northern different counties up there. In all across the nation, it is the same thing. Like in Philadelphia, they have a Philadelphia race. They help the people in Philadelphia. And in New York City, we have a New York City race.
So that the energy supplied by the volunteers, they know it's coming back to
Right.
their friends and
Yes.
neighbors and to the people who need it
Yes.
most. I too share a concern that so many Americans that don't have health care, that will have to choose between feeding the children and going for an annual mammography. How do we get to them?
Well, that's one of the things that we do very, very well. What we try to institute throughout our entire service area is free and low-cost mammograms. And we work with radiological groups, we work with hospitals, anyone that is doing mammography screening. And often they'll either give us gift certificates for free screening, or they'll be doing a program. There's an enormous program that the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta had coupled with the YWCAs throughout the nation to help reach women who had no funds to get screening for pap screening and mammography screening, both of those. And that's for free. And hundreds of thousands have gotten that. But if you're not part of that program, we also have many, many groups that they call us, we say, okay, where do you live? And we tell them where they can get a free or low-cost mammogram.
What a great service. Now, there's something about this race. I have been covering it for years here with the television station and also at a local radio station. When I talk to anyone involved as a volunteer of this race, they beam just like you're doing now. What is it about this event?
You know, it's so powerful. I'm a survivor, and I come that day. I feel, and I put it on. I feel I'm not alone. I feel that all these tens of thousands of people who are there are in support of me and others. And they care because you don't have to look very far to find a breast cancer survivor. When you see 1 in 8 women in their lifetime will get this disease. And they're really talking about in a full lifetime. If you look at a woman's lifetime, let's say she lives to about 80, 85 years of age, we expect that 1 in 8 of that group will get breast cancer. But if you ask any woman over 50, just ask them, do you have a friend? Do you have a colleague? Do you have a family member? Everyone, yes. Lives everywhere are touched by this disease. It's an enormous problem in this country, and it seems that every single few years we see the incidence is rising.
Now, the event itself, tell us the details, the who, the what, the when, the where.
Okay. October 28th on a Sunday at Bristol-Myers Squibb on Route 206, their Princeton facility, but it's really in Lawrenceville. So if you're looking for it on 206, it's very close to the village of Lawrenceville. It starts at 7 in the morning when we open up. We have a 5K competitive men's race. We have a 5K competitive women's race. We have a 5K walk that's non-competitive.
That's great.
15,000 in the walk.
I bet.
And then a 1 mile, we call it a health walk. And you could push your stroller, or you could be in a wheelchair, it doesn't matter. And everybody walks, and there's thousands in that also. And children's races.
I've seen the atmosphere. It's just carnival-like.
With 31 tents. 31 tents.
For New Jersey to put on this event, how many volunteers do you need?
1,000.
My God.
1,000. So when people tell me volunteerism is dead, I said, no, it's not. Not in New Jersey. 1,000. And every year, no problem getting 1,000 volunteers. Not to say that we want them to call us. We always want them to call us. We get new volunteers every single year. And no matter what your talent is, no matter how little time or how much time you want to spend, we have something for you.
Well, I think you've hit it right on the head. People like yourself that have survived this disease, by coming out, by sharing, by getting involved with this event, it's got to make other women, young women, older women, know that there is hope for them and that they have sisters in this and friends and support in this. If someone wants to get involved, how do they get to you?
Well, they can call 609-252-2008, and that's the race number. And if they can't remember that, they don't have a pencil, they don't have something, remember the Princeton YWCA, and they'll connect you. Just call the Princeton YWCA.
And that number is good whether you want to walk, run, volunteer, or send money.
Or no matter what you want to do. Or just ask a question.
Is there time still for corporate sponsors to get involved?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right now, New Jersey, 90 corporate major sponsors and about 50 smaller sponsors. These are almost every major company in the state of New Jersey has said absolutely yes to us.
Now, Jane, you've been kind enough to share with us that you are a survivor. If there's someone out there right now who just got a diagnosis, what can you say to them?
First of all, I would say that you need to talk to somebody who's also gone through this. And a very good idea is to call us, because everybody in our office is a survivor. And now, we will match them up also. We have a network called Women to Women. So what we do, if a woman, let's say, is 31 years old and just diagnosed and has 2 children and single, we'll find somebody that's a year or 2 down the road, couple children single, early 30s,
Beautiful.
and they'll have a buddy.
Because sometimes it's not only breast cancer, sometimes there's a 1-2 punch, something happening with the marriage or finances. So being able to match them is so very important.
Absolutely.
Well, if the enthusiasm level at the race is anything like your personal enthusiasm, I know it's going to be a great event. Thanks so much for sharing the information and for your hard work on behalf of other women.
It's my pleasure, and thank you.
Thank you. Hello, if you're just joining us, we've been talking about breast cancer and the 2001 Komen Race for the Cure. And the diagnosis of breast cancer has to be one of the most frightening things for any woman to hear, and her family and the people who love her. But it doesn't have to be that frightening today. There are so many advances in the medical technology, but detection is the important thing, early detection. And to learn more about that, we have joining us Dr. Lena Famigletti-Pastor. Welcome to Conversations, Doctor. Tell us, what recommendations do you have as to when a woman should get a mammogram?
Well, the American Cancer Society recommends that a baseline mammogram be performed between the ages of 35 and 39, and annual mammography beginning at age 40.
Now tell us about the background, your background in breast cancer.
Well, I'm a diagnostic radiologist for University Radiology Group. In addition to that, I also subspecialize in breast imaging and breast procedures, breast intervention. I perform biopsies and so on.
So it's really your specialty area. So I'm thinking I'm 40, I should get a mammogram. What's the first thing I do? And how do I reach out to someone like your organization, University?
You call up your local hospital, local imaging center, and make an appointment for a routine screening mammogram. By routine screening, meaning that you're not having any specific types of problems, that this is just a regular examination. Obviously, if there's a problem, it's a little bit of a different study.
Is it an expensive proposition? Because for many women, when they think about this, they say, gee, can I afford to get it done?
Well, mammography is covered by insurance, as it is a routine examination, and even those that are targeted examinations for specific abnormalities are also covered by insurances. In the event that there is no insurance, then of course there are specific areas that you can contact, as Jade Rodney had discussed earlier, where you can look for assistance.
Where you can find something through the community, so call the local health department as well and find out, or a hospital to find out if there's a screening.
Most hospitals also have, for example, at St. Peter's, we have a grant where we can help with women who do not or cannot afford to have a mammogram.
If women have a family history, should they go earlier than 40?
It is recommended that women with a family history, or women that are at higher risk, begin the screening process 10 years earlier. So therefore, if the mother was diagnosed at age 40, the daughter should begin screening at age 30.
What other methods should they use? Should there be self-exam?
Right. In addition to the imaging of the breast, the American Cancer Society also recommends the breast examination, that is monthly breast self-examination, as well as an annual breast examination by your healthcare provider. And
would a woman expect to see changes from month to month with her breasts?
Yes, I mean, there are changes in premenopausal women, depending on their stage in their cycles, that do develop, as well as with weight gain and hormone replacement therapy. There are changes in the breast that can develop. But obviously, as you examine yourself monthly, you yourself will become aware of these changes and more familiar with your own body.
It's amazing how we are familiar with every ounce we gain, and if our pants are tight, but then something as important as breast self-exam and changes in your own body, we seem to ignore. Now, at University Radiology Group, you offer a double read screening program. What is that?
The double read screening program is a screening program that is asymptomatic women that have no problems, that are coming in for routine examination, get their mammogram taken, and those mammograms are batch read by 2 independent radiologists. That is, one radiologist will go in, read the mammogram in an uninterrupted session, and interpret the mammogram. And then a second radiologist will also at a separate time interpret the mammogram as well. So they are batch read, independent of each other. If the 2 radiologists agree on the reading, then that patient will receive that reading. If there's a disagreement between the 2 readings, then a third radiologist, the referee radiologist, will come in and interpret the mammogram at that point. So there's at least 2 to 3 people that interpret the mammogram at that, in that program.
Well, you have certainly seen so many patients come in, and is there still fear? I have heard women still afraid of the mammography screening. There are, urban legends of pain and being, pinched and cut and bruised, and so many people afraid of it. What do you say when someone comes in and they're anxious?
Well, the biggest concern that most women have is the radiation exposure. That is their biggest concern. There's never been a reported case of breast cancer being, induced by radiation exposure from having a mammogram done. And it is a risk-benefit type issue. So, our technologists are, very familiar with the patient anxieties that go along with getting a mammogram done.
There's
usually
no
not an
need
issue.
to really be frightened.
Right, there isn't.
I hear some women, talking, and the number one thing, even if it was difficult, and I've had now 5 annual visits for my mammography, and even if it was mildly uncomfortable, the last thing I'd be saying to somebody who was contemplating getting an exam that it is frightening. But I really have to assure people that it is just mild discomfort perhaps at the most.
I think it's more so the results that is more worrisome to them than the actual examination. It's the anxiety of finding out the results.
Let's talk about that. If you go in and get a mammography, how long before you know that you're all right?
Well, in a screening program like at University Radiology Group, within 5 days or so, you'll receive a letter by mail. And this is pretty much standard now. The MQSA, which is the Mammography Quality, Mammography Standards Quality Act, which was instituted in 1992, recently in 1999, issued a new standard that states that a woman should be notified within 30 days of their mammogram by letter in layman's terms.
That seems like a long time to wait if you're suspect. If you're sent by a doctor because of a suspected problem.
That's different.
That's different. Okay,
that's
I would
different.
find out sooner.
In a regular screening patient, that is a patient that is asymptomatic, that patient usually would get, at least from our institution, within 5 days in the mail, they will get notification of their results. If there is an abnormality, that patient, of course, is not in the screening program, because only in the screening program is only patients that have no problems.
Right.
They're just coming in for the routine examination. If a patient is sent in for a specific abnormality, whether it's because they feel a lump or they've had a history of breast cancer, or they have nipple discharge or what have you, that is a more targeted examination, and that they will receive their results on that day.
So if I were to go in and you would read it and see that maybe there's a problem here, what next?
Then I will speak to you on a one-to-one basis. I will review your films with you and discuss what your options are at this point. Recommend that you speak to your physician, and then usually, if there's a biopsy that needs to be done, surgical referral at that point, which would then come from your physician.
Is there an age that you don't have to go anymore?
No.
I know that seems like a silly question, but women grow older. My mom, one of them, who I have to constantly encourage to get in there, so there is no age limit. Now, can breast cancer affect men?
Yes, it can. Breast cancer in men makes up less than 1% of all breast cancers. Similar presentations, men can present in a similar fashion to women with a lump or nipple discharge. But yes, it can.
Now, how early can you, with the technology available to you today, how early can you catch it? Can it be very minute? I mean, people think that they have to have some sort of substantial lump.
There are what they call minimal cancers, which is a cancer that is less than 1 centimeter in size, and that's the goal of the screening mammogram, is early detection. The earlier the disease is detected, the less likely that it has spread and become systemic. So yeah, I mean
The earlier the better, but it can be minute. The technology does allow for that. So
Yes.
it's not the death sentence of many years ago to hear
No.
you have breast cancer.
No, in fact, 3 of 4 women who have been diagnosed with breast cancer will not die of the disease. So the survival rate is 70 to 75%.
Actually, the research that I've done over the years on the Komen race for the cure has actually taught me that women still do die from breast cancer and the importance of early detection, because I think for a while there we heard so many success stories with beating breast cancer that a lot of women kind of got into a little bit of a lull about it, unless it has directly affected a girlfriend or,
Right.
or a friend. But it's still, the cure, it's not completely cured. There is no cure.
Judith, there is no cure. Our only goal is early detection.
Now let's talk a little bit about some of the new technology involved.
Well, mammography is still the gold standard as far as detection of breast cancer, but there are new technologies that are being currently investigated, one of which is called digital mammography. And what that is it employs an electronic system which generates the image of the breast and stores it on a computer, and then that image can then be manipulated and can also be transmitted to other centers for remote reading. There is also what's called computer-aided diagnosis, which is a computer program which helps analyze the mammogram in conjunction with the interpreting radiologist to determine whether a mammographic abnormality could possibly be benign or malignant. In addition to those, there are some technologies that are currently being used, and again, as I stated earlier, mammography is still the gold standard, such as MRI of the breast, and there are also some nuclear medicine imaging studies that are being done.
Are there any blood tests or genetic programs in the works, or that we should be looking forward
There
to?
are some blood tests that can be done for genetic screening. There are 2 genes that have been isolated, the breast cancer 1 and breast cancer 2 genes, and those can be, evaluated with blood tests.
Now, when you go for your mammography, I know a lot of women, and hearing, the locker room chat about it, that it's tougher on women with smaller breasts versus larger breasts. And is there any relationship between the size of your breasts and your propensity towards breast cancer? Is that?
It's probably just a personal tolerance type thing. If you do have smaller breasts, then the positioning may be a little bit more difficult and a little bit more uncomfortable. But as I said, we try to make every effort to make the examination as quick and painless as possible.
And with programs like the Race for the Cure, we're making it more available to people everywhere. I think that's really important, no matter what their income level. If people need to find out more about the process, can they get in touch with you or your group, radiology group?
They can certainly call the University Radiology Group. We have our office right here in East Brunswick at 390-0030. And then there's also our affiliated offices elsewhere. We have Somerset office and New Brunswick office. And then we also operate out of 2 hospitals, Robert Wood Johnson and St. Peter's.
In treating so many women during your career, why is it important for women to be proactive about their health and aggressive about it?
Well, as I said earlier, breast cancer is not a preventable disease. So, the goal is that it is detected early prior to spread, to reduce the mortality rate due to breast cancers. So, that's...
From the women that you've met, how much does attitude have to account for their progress and their success? Have you seen differences in people in the way that they've approached the disease?
Yeah, most women, the minute they find out there's something abnormal in their mammogram, they instantly want to know more about it. They want to know what their options are as far as surgery versus other procedures. They want to know, surgeons and want to read about the disease. So, I mean, the biggest thing that most women do is the internet. That's their biggest source of information, is the internet.
I bet.
Also, when you come to the breast center, usually we do have pamphlets and what have you that we can give to the patients about different procedures that we offer, as well as, different terminologies that they're going to be hearing and that type of thing.
Would you recommend breast self-exam be taught to teenage girls right from the outset of puberty?
Definitely. That's one population that's usually not targeted. They're just not taught that in school. And they're kind of neglected, although we do have some programs. As I said, we at St. Peter's, we've had Girl Scouts come to the hospital, and we've given them a tour of the center, and we have models, breast models, where they're shown what to feel for, what it should feel like, and that type of thing.
Every once in a while you hear about a celebrity being diagnosed. Do you see I don't want to say a rush, but do you see a renewed interest in getting screening when someone on the public front has been diagnosed?
Definitely. Mostly we get lots of phone calls regarding, well, such and such was recently diagnosed and they had such and such a test, how can I get it? The problem is that there's so much hype with the media, and they often oversimplify the specific medical situation, and that leads to a lot of public anxiety and fear. And each patient and each diagnosis is different. So unfortunately, we do get a lot of phone calls regarding that.
On the positive side, I did happen to see Rosie O'Donnell, whose mother died of cancer, agonize forever about getting her mammography, and then did it on air, and that must have caused a lot of positive response because people identified with her and her fears. And I found it amazing that an enlightened young woman like that, who had it in her family, would be so afraid of going. Did you see it, get a lot of calls and see a lot of interest then?
Well, our patient population is very compliant. They're very good about following up and getting their annual mammograms. So it's more so what we hear about is more so that they want to know what the new technologies are. The minute they hear something on the news or they see something on TV, they want to know, do you have it? A lot of these newer technologies are still not yet available. And as I said, mammography is the best means of detection at this point. So, we're still waiting.
Well, you certainly have helped us to understand it more. Dr. Lena Famigletti, pastor, thank you so much for joining us on Conversations. You've made it very easy to understand, and certainly it is a painless process. To please do it and get your peace of mind and start regularly when you're 40 or before that if you have a family history. Now, we've talked a little bit about the Race for the Cure, and if you want to get involved with the Race for the Cure, you can call 609-252-2008, 609-252-2008, and get involved to raise some money for a very important cause, and maybe in this lifetime we will beat breast cancer, and that is our hope. Well, as always, there's nothing like a great conversation. I hope you'll join us again.